Hi Scorpio, welcome to your week ahead tarot with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Scorpio, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week this week, you have the Hierophant card. So the first thing, on a practical level, this week you could be interacting with local authority, government and or bigger institutions in some regard. Remember, as a key to the week as well, this also suggests that how you do life on a day-to-day level, what you are doing to advance yourself or not, as the case may be, really matters, right? Your routines, your rituals, the things that you're doing on a consistent basis are held within the Hierophant card. So this week, looking at the structure of your life and the structure of your world, you know, your work, your love life, all of it, may be something that you're putting a lot of time, effort and focus into. It may also be where you are trying to establish something this week that you want to stand the test of time, that you want to see become or turn into something that is what you would consider solid. For your actions and options, you have the Five of Wands. So what we see here, the Hierophant card is the number 5. You also have the Five of Wands, right? So 2 5s represents a vigil. This is knowledge and information, not knowledge and information. It's a consistent focus on something. So a vigil is to basically hold space for something. And so because you've got this in the actions and options, what this means is you're holding space, or you're holding focus on the Five of Wands, right? Which is connections, potentially, you know, a little bit of but also where things are dynamic and, you know, not static. So this week it does suggest that you're kind of looking at some of the social or the interpersonal changes that are happening within the institutions that you are either attached to or a part of, or an institution or an establishment that you are trying to get out into the world. So this week, I got to say, it does look like there's a lot of moving parts. And if that is the case, just know that it's going to be a little bit of this, right? We're figuring it out as we go, let's say. The other thing is as well, I wouldn't be surprised if you're having a lot of conversations or having to interact with or converse with people that have, you know, like the, like the, you know, bigwigs in some regard. For your communications and conversations, you've got the King of Swords. So paperwork, documents, documentation, legislation, right? There's a lot of what you're looking at this week seems to have either a very technical element to it, you know, like the law, legislation is very technical. You can, you know, that's how they get all the little loopholes and all of that. And the King of Swords is usually like, it's high level communication, but this is high level communication with bigger or larger institutions. Paperwork, documents, documentation. This is, you know, when you've already started the new job, but you have to start filling in the forms and you have to give over your passport and all of that kind of stuff. This is the processing and the movement of data and information that could potentially be sensitive. Now, when I say sensitive, it doesn't have to mean that it's like, ooh, hush, hush, top secret or anything like that. It could be, you know, like if you get one letter wrong on your name, like let's say the person that's entering it, Mercury's about to go direct, so it's possible. There's one person, you know, like let's say they enter one of the wrong letters. You have to start the whole process again because of that one mistake. Pay attention. I mean, you're a Scorpio, so you're good with the details, but really important this week. All right. Now, Mars, your ruling planet, certainly in ancient astrology, Mars is your ruling planet, and Mars is now direct. And because this week starts on the 16th, so right at the beginning of this week, Mars will have finished its retrograde, it will have finished its station, and it's now actually direct. On the 18th of the month, Mercury is going to go direct, and at that point, things are very, very good. And then we've got a new moon in the sign of Aquarius, as if there wasn't enough going on. And then on the 22nd, all planets are direct, right? So if you can wait until the very end of this week to be looking at that paperwork, unless you're reviewing the paperwork or revising the paperwork or going back over details, in that case, you're fine. If you're actually signing and sending documents, unless you were born with a Mercury retrograde, this is probably not the best week, but it does look like a lot of the details are being fine-tuned, and the level of communication that's happening this week seems to be quite high level. When it comes to those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, this might be you formally requesting more time for a deadline. I wonder as well if it gives you not necessarily more time, but like I kind of feel almost like, yeah, like you go to a tutor and you say, look, I need more time for this. I will say, if they come back to you and say, well, you know, I can give you the more time, but it means that you're going to get a lower grade, negotiate. Because I kind of feel like you'll be able to push it. You might have to really push, but you'll get it. When it comes to those of you that are employed by somebody else, quite frankly, my dear Scorpios, I don't think you are leveraging your expertise and your knowledge. All right. So this week, you got to shine, baby, shine as best you possibly can. And if there's something that you want, demonstrate why, right? Like this is the time. You know, sometimes, like, I've observed this with a few Scorpios that I know, they'll just feign like, oh no, well, I didn't know, you know, like, oh, okay, I had no idea. And I'm like, I see you, like, and, you know, just to fly under, to keep it, you know, I don't really want to get into all of the drama and whatnot. So they'll feign like innocence or, you know, ignorance, I didn't know. This week, you can't do that. If there's a certain result that you want, you are going to have to get in with it. All right, you've got to roll your sleeves up and get a little dirty. When it comes to your business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, I really like this as a triplet. And I like it because this week, although you like things quite steady, it's like this week things are actually, you're enjoying the faster pace of it. And your mind is very stimulated this week. It also looks like you're probably going to have to bring a lot more of your smarts to the table this week than maybe you have in a while. And that's where that fun or that like excitement over the amount of engagement that is required from you this week actually comes in. And then finally, when it comes to those of you that are retired and no longer working, this is giving you, for those of you that are retired or are about to retire, this is you really finalizing what that actually looks like. And if you are maybe not necessarily looking for work, but also not closed off to the idea of some kind of work, this suggests that you're looking at what you can do in a fashion that you enjoy. And I will say there was probably from an old employer or an old colleague, there is an opportunity for you to get back into something that you did before, particularly if it's in things like government, you know, all of like the legal professions as well, like could come up for it. For your love and relations, you've got the Two of Pentacles. Love, partnership, relationship, the marriage is good, right? No problems or issues there. There are conversations and big conversations around a big chunk of money that you're planning to do something with, which, hey, listen, if you got it, flaunt it, right? Or don't flaunt it, but do something with it. So I actually really like this. With the Five of Wands here, you might have to not battle it out with the partner, but you might have to either you're having to rein them in or they're having to rein you in, and you're like, no, but we can do this, and it's going to do that, and it's like there's a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of giggles, but there is also an element of severity to it as well. And then for those of you that are single, you got options, okay? Like, and who doesn't like that? I mean, the rest of us Aquarians and Leos out here that have had like a bloody 3.5, nearly 4 year drought at this point, have your options and eat them, okay? For your money and materials, you've got the Judgment card. Okay, so a big change when it comes to the finances or the resources. And I'm guessing this is where the conversation's coming from. If you're signing paperwork with banks, if you're maybe having big talks with the significant other, maybe you're deciding, you know what, we've been together X amounts of time, I'm going to get rid of my place, you're going to get rid of yours, we're going to move in together. This could be where you are looking at consolidating the funds, but it's like you want to get all the details in place before you go in for it. Finally, when it comes to your physical health and vitality, this card actually represents either recurring challenges or chronic health situations. I've seen this a lot for chronic health situations. I touch wood, I hope I'm wrong, but especially because you've got the Hierophant card, you could be seeing a specialist. And whoever this person is, the King of Swords, they know their stuff. So you could finally get some answers, some understandings, or even just some insight that really solidifies, okay, this is my plan for moving forward. I won't say that, I mean, the word surgery will probably be mentioned because it is the King of Swords after all. But we'll see. When it comes to your home and environment, I actually really like the Judgment card for home, because this suggests that maybe you're doing like a spring clean here in January. Like, well, I mean, for the southern, it's springtime anyway. But do you see what I mean? Like, there's a really big zhuzh of the energy. So I like it. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes out. Take care, and I'll see you soon.